right. So last week we talked about Geth and Guillaume is here, so all good. For tracing the Genesis block or extracting the storage slots from the Genesis constructors, so that we can like just do code and storage that Geth supports for Shadow. I saw some progress on that. Could you give an update? I don't know if like Guillaume or anyone. Yeah, like Guillaume, do you have everything you need on that site now?
Yeah. I was able to figure out what was the problem, so I actually don't need anything anymore. I just managed to build the right block like 20 minutes ago. But yeah, I noticed that most clients, and I think that includes Geth, I haven't tried because it's not working. Well, it wasn't working until 20 minutes ago. Most clients can actually do no tracing at the Genesis block, which is never a problem most of the time, except when you're trying to get a new client to sync. So I don't know, Marek was saying they would be able to implement account range at. I don't know if they're still serious about doing this. I mean, I don't need it anymore, so it's not my it's not my problem right now. But yeah, I'm still curious if Nethermind was going to implement that. Sorry, that's an aside. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, so the main motivation was to help you. So if you do not need it anymore, we might implement it, but you know it's not priority anymore. So yeah. If you think that it will be still helpful for you, then we will implement it. I need to talk with Erigon because he checked the method in Geth, and I'm not sure, Łukasz, if you remember conclusions, but I'm not sure if it was so easy to implement the same in Nethermind, but I don't remember what he exactly.
I also don't remember. I haven't checked it, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, so we will. If it will be super easy, then we will implement it. If you will need it, then even if it is not easy, we will implement it. But if you don't need that, then probably, and it is not easy, then probably we will not pursue that.
Yeah, no worries as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't need it right now or in the foreseeable future. And if I manage to sync Geth, it will be available anyway. So yeah, okay. So I don't know. Are we giving updates? Because sorry, I'm on the phone. It's hard to read the document. Yeah, okay. I'll give my update just in case. So yeah, I just managed to build the Genesis block. So now I'm trying to figure out how to configure Lighthouse to join join that testnet and see if I can snap sync from any Nethermind node. So I'll be active on the channel if a problem happens. Yep, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, thank you. All right, then let's just get back in the order we usually do things. This was just to make sure we didn't forget anything from last week. So for testing, okay, Alex, do you have
Hi, Felipe. I just want to ask, maybe infrastructure gateway we can put a bit earlier, so like.
Sure, then yeah, if you can leave, there's nothing.
So, because normally our report is quite simple. Not this time. Sorry for interrupting. So yeah, the migration worked. Besides the part that the NIAs are like the ingresses got new IPs, and those IPs were cached on the proxy side of Gnosis. So, which means that traffic was sent to the dev null for a bit until we reached people who could restart the proxy. So, but infrastructure has been migrated to the new data center. So, and it works great. I would say more performant. So no. Yeah. So.
Perfect. Yeah, I think on that side everything ended up going well. So yeah, not that big of an issue, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks for the updates. So regarding testing, so there's Hive and Ethereum/tests. However we want to call this. So on Ethereum/tests, I don't think there's any updates as far as I know, but yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, there are no updates on Ethereum/tests, and on the Hive side, I was able to figure out what the problem with the Erigon Cancun suit, as well as I'm pretty much sure I know the potential fix for failing withdrawal suits. Failing withdrawal tests for Nethermind and Erigon. So once Marcus will be available, I guess it's like tomorrow, I will contact him to merge everything and to add these use to the dashboard. So soon we should see more work in like Cancun and withdrawals tests on the dashboard for both Erigon and Nethermind.
Yeah, Lukasz?
Can you mention what's wrong? What's with the tests?
With the Cancun or withdrawals?
Withdrawals, the Nethermind files too.
Or was it test issue or I don't know?
Yeah, it's not client issue, it's test issue. Is because of we had to change how like Genesis abstracted from the like genesis.json file, and there are like small problem with the testing accounts founding, but it should be resolved soon since it's pretty clear what the problem right now.
Okay, happy to hear that this is confirmed to be a test issue.
All right. Regarding research, I think there's not much more to say for EIP 7002 or okay, maybe there is Lion.
Yeah, I wanted to comment. So Peter from Geth has shared today a more formalized version of his execution layer cross-validation. So what that proposal does is it's kind of a small Burkle, but not Burkle in a way. But his proposal is add new engine API routes to all clients such that you can submit Merkle Patricia tree witnesses and cross-check that the EVM execution of a block is correct. Because the idea is that, yes, client diversity is important at all levels. It's important that someone cannot, so imagine that a network is completely Geth and you can DOS Geth, then you can take down the network. But arguably, one of the most scary bugs is if some client has a wrong EVM implementation and they finalize something that's incorrect, or like a double spend, something like that. That would be pretty brutal. So what this approach allows is to mitigate that, because people will just have to run, say in mainnet, just a small version of the Nethermind binary that doesn't take that much resources and just sits there, verifies the thing, and returns an OK. It only consumes CPU. So I don't know, at least for me, I'm not an execution led. That sounds very appealing. I know that, I'm not sure if it was you, Lukasz, or Marek, that had some caveats on that.
There's a lot of caveats on that.
Okay.
A lot.
So I'm bringing this up because in Gnosis we have the opposite problem. We have a supermajority Nethermind. And I don't know if we haven't done our job well enough to promote diversity as it happened in Ethereum. But client diversity is still a huge issue. So I want to bring this up and know your opinion if this effort could also help de-risk Gnosis in case of a consensus bug.
So yes and no. So if we implement it this way, yes, it would decrease the risk of consensus bugs. But it needs actually, it's a huge effort. It's not a small effort. I would say it's a huge effort, and Peter is downplaying it because it's also an effort on the CL side. It's also an effort on a heuristic side, how to what to do exactly when your clients are not in sync. It's a huge effort on DevOps side and on the infrastructure side. So everyone would have to run it correctly and troubleshoot it more if anything goes bad, right? It needs more troubleshooting. And especially on Gnosis, when we have, we still have 5-second blocks, right, on Gnosis, if I'm correct, then the latency penalty might be actually way more harmful, because right now this needs to, firstly, the first client needs to generate the witness, then it needs to pass it to the second client, so serialize it in some way and pass it, and then the second or third, or how many clients there are, whatever, can then in parallel, if there are many, rerun that block with that witness, which is okay. But creating the witness adds latency compared to normal processing. Then passing that witness adds a lot of latency potentially, because it needs to be serialized and passed as data. And then re-executing the block adds latency because you have to execute the block again. And we have, like, shipping all of that with a good enough UX for people to actually run it, because now they have less time to do their attestation, so they might just not run it at all, because there are other, like, negatives, right, because of increased latency and increased complexity of their setup. But let's, even assuming they would run it, okay, I lost my thread of thought. Yeah, what I wanted to say. So until we can ship it, it will take a bit of time, and it's not like a few weeks or something. It's a few months at least. I kind of think that effort is kind of wasted, and we should focus more on other things, and waste it in the way, because when vertical trees come in, those witnesses are in protocol now, and not only for the head block, but they're also in protocol for all the blocks from the vertical transition. And yeah, the problem of latency, okay, there's a different problem potentially of latency, because vertical trees might be slower in general, but the parallelization can happen at the beginning when EL receive the block. You don't have one EL generating the witness and second EL validating the block with the witness. The witness is already in the protocol, and as soon as it comes, we can validate in parallel with multiple ELs. So, and all of this work kind of becomes obsolete. So yeah, that's my main gripe. Like, I don't hate the idea, but I think it's like, yeah, we can ship this like maybe a few months before verticals, or a year before vertical trees, while I don't know if it will get actually adoption, and it will become obsolete when we ship verticals. So it's like, not sure if this is the correct way. I would prefer more people working on vertical in the meantime, and shipping vertical faster.
Yeah, Guillaume, a comment?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Łukasz pretty much covered everything I wanted to say. But when Lion said it's some kind of vertical, it's absolutely not vertical. Like, Peter completely ignored all the work that had been done on vertical, so it's totally incompatible. To make vertical fit into that thing will delay vertical even more. I don't think it's. I mean, okay, I don't think it was a good approach to begin with. I haven't talked to Peter about it, but I'm sure he knows what I think. So yeah, everything like Łukasz said, latency with this approach, latency is in vertical is gonna be a killer. It's gonna be a killer for mainnet, let alone Gnosis mainnet. For me, it's wasted time. And I think Łukasz is completely right. So now the question is, are other clients on mainnet going to be interested in doing this? There's definitely a security, an interesting aspect for security. The same thing could be done in Vercel, mind you, but it makes, yeah, I don't know if it's worth focusing client development effort on that.
So to know, I guess in your case, Łukasz, what would take the most effort, the proof generation and the proof consumption?
To be honest, both wouldn't. Consumption would take a bit more effort on our side, but both are like doable, right? I don't think. I would say the most effort would actually be on integrating with CL, on making sure it actually works, on testing, on making this like consumable for infrastructure runners.
So we have people already building that on Lighthouse. Some Pawan from our team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the CL side is not complicated, and we will also integrate it in something called EELS, which is an EL multiplexer,
Mm-hmm.
and then people don't even have to change anything. You can just connect your CL to EELS, and EELS will multiplex to you on the ELs. Marek.
Yeah, I'm with this proposal. I wrote some comment a long time ago, but I'm a little bit worried about, for example, scenarios when one client executes blocks slowly, and it means that basically all entire setup will execute something too slow. And yeah, I understand the benefits from the client diversity perspective, but on the other hand, if we have clients and someone can run other clients, then I'm not sure if this is the correct path. And as Guillaume said, and Łukasz, probably it's worth to focus on vertical trees. I will link my own opinion here.
Guillaume?
Yeah, just wanted to tell Lion, if you guys are working on it at Lighthouse, given the fact you are the team that was the first to implement the vertical stuff, it would be nice if you guys were giving actually some pushback on this to say, hey, come on, we have two different versions of the way. I mean, of two different ways of passing witness. This should be normalized at least, so that we don't have to make the same amount of work twice. Yeah, that would be my suggestion to get Mike L in. Sorry, I can't pronounce his name. Mike Lotson into that conversation as well.
All right.
And one more thing I forgot to mention, what about worst case blocks with MPT? Isn't like if we, let's imagine that we manage to provide this setup, but then a malicious attacker wants to construct the block in the way that we will have a very huge proof. And what will happen with Merkle Patricia tree? Probably GM will know better, but I think the whole point of pushing Merkle is to have smaller proofs. And yeah.
Yeah, I think the worst case scenario blocks would push latency even more into the bad side.
So with 5 second slot time, then it might be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to test it.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I guess this doesn't really sound like a good candidate for right now, or at least that's what I'm getting. I mean, understanding. Lion, maybe you have other thoughts.
Well, if no one is producing the proofs, then this feature is the eternal rival. So we need buy-in from some of the clients.
So to be honest, Spectra is already huge, and this is just putting resources into the things that I'm not sure they would be the best. So okay, for Gnosis, it's a different problem, right? Because for mainnet, I think Geth is guaranteed to be below 66% at the moment.
Sure?
Well,
So
kind of.
Even pessimistic calculation right now,
Yes.
Geth is below 66%.
Well, it's based on the survey, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that number is computed from like self-reported numbers from operators.
Yes, exactly. So I'm not entirely sure, but it looks like it, and it's going the right direction now. Actually, Ref have 1.0 release, so maybe some people will also switch to Ref, which should even improve those numbers. So for mainnet, I don't think it's a big deal. For Gnosis, it's a bit different because I think it's very reliable on Nethermind at the moment, which is not great. So it's actually maybe more important for Gnosis. One thing for the Lighthouse team, if you're building this kind of mechanism of running multiple stateless clients, I would encourage you to run that on Vertical testnet because Nevermind, as far as I know, can be run as a stateless client on Vertical already. So that's also a good place to test this in a different setup. But I mean, like your heuristics about communicating with multiple clients, etc.
Yep. Okay.
My understanding that for Gnosis, bringing, for example, Geth or Rep, that is what we are trying to do, will give us the biggest benefit. Because even if we implement this witness stuff, then we need other clients to cross-validate.
Yes, so that's a pair.
Erigon is there, so Erigon is another option. Yeah, but bringing more clients might be.
That's a prerequisite definitely for doing that on Gnosis. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for GC at this point, it would be worth more investing more in. I mean, or getting Geth and Reth out than working on this. Any other thoughts on that matter?
So to be honest, we haven't discussed it yet in the core devs properly. So we'll see what other teams think, etc. So I don't have a decision. That's only opinion at the moment.
So yeah, let's talk about it next weekend then, or later. I don't know when the next core is ACD.
So next week is the next EL call. Today is CL call. Tomorrow's CL call.
Yeah, so we can discuss this in 2 weeks then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess that covers this topic. Okay, so today we have the Shutter team. Actually, we should probably talk about this earlier as well. Yeah, so what are the Shutter news?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Yannick. First time on the call. Very cool to be here, to be honest. Should I start with only news, or is everyone familiar with how Shutter works in general, or what we do there? Should I give like a brief general introduction, or is it?
Yeah, I think just go ahead with an intro.
Okay, so yeah, what we're trying to do is basically build an encrypted mempool for Gnosis Chain, with the goal of increasing front-running protection and also censorship resistance. And the way it works is that we have a set of nodes that we call keepers, external to Gnosis Chain, so like a completely independent set. And they run internally a DKG protocol. They produce a encryption key. Then users can use this encryption key to encrypt their transactions, submit them to a contract. And then
sometime later, when the transaction has been included, the keepers will produce decryption keys for these transactions, and then validators can decrypt those transactions and include them in the block. And the protocol tells them to include those transactions in the same order that they were included while they were encrypted, so they don't have a chance to front run or censor there. That's kind of the basic idea. We are building, so I'm from Brainbot, and my colleague Fred as well is from Brainbot. We're kind of writing the code for Shutter Network, and Nethermind implemented the these additional validator rules for in their client. I think mostly Mark was also in the call. Right now we have a testnet running on Chiado. It's been stable for about a month. We found a few bugs, fixed them, so that was very helpful. And now we're working towards a mainnet release that we want to launch officially on August 11th at the end of ECC in about 2 weeks. Yesterday we deployed the mainnet contracts for the first time. We also added a test keeper set, so kind of a centrally hosted for now keeper set that generated a key, so everything worked fine there. Oh, I'm sorry.
It was July.
Yeah, it was July. Yeah. Still summer. Yeah, so first keeper set has been added, but this has been centralized, and now we are in the process of rolling this out to a larger decentralized keeper set consisting of, decentralized depends on your standards, but we're going to have 8 nodes that are run by different entities across the world. And this is scheduled for Friday, 4 p.m. this Friday. So plenty of time until the launch. Our goals for the release are, so basically it's on mainnet. So we are aware that stakes are kind of higher. We don't want to break things, but and from Shutter's perspective, this is still kind of a beta release, I would say. It worked quite well during testing, but we want to test it very well under real world conditions, which can be very different. And we want to use that release in the beginning to observe performance and stability, to check that everything is working. And only then, once we've confirmed that and maybe fixed some things that came up, from then on, we want to increase validator participation and keeper set size to make it more decentralized and better to use, basically. So maybe I should have highlighted this earlier. It's not a hard fork. It's additional rules for validators, but the validators can opt into these rules, so they're not forced to them. So we can, and in the beginning, the idea is that only very few validators join these additional rules or follow these additional rules, so that the risks for the chain are limited. Yeah, and also, even if things go wrong, so if the Shutter part breaks completely, then even the validators, so the validators who didn't join, they shouldn't be affected at all. They wouldn't even notice this. And the validators who did join this protocol, then they have the ability to just produce blocks as normal. So even these affected nodes, shouldn't be affected by Shutter completely breaking, even though I think that's unlikely. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say.
All right, any updates from the Nethermind side then? I guess everything, how ready are we basically?
Yeah, so sorry. I fixed a lot of the known issues, and like the release is nearly ready. But there's one issue with transaction inclusion at the moment. So there's a problem with like decoding the events that have been emitted. So that could be a problem with the validator, or it could be potentially with the contract. So I need to, so I'm investigating that, and then it should be ready to start testing.
So if there's an issue with the contracts, some of them we can deploy quite easily, just redeploy them. For some of them, we would probably have to redeploy or like launch the keeper set again, but even that shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah, so this is the sequencer contract. So as I said, I'm not sure if the problem is with the contract itself yet, or the validator. I'm trying to work it out, but yeah, maybe we can work on debugging that after the call.
There's a raised hand.
Marek, yeah.
What do you think about release with the limited and controlled set of validators by Gnosis and Gnosis friends team? So, for example, I don't know, we will take, maybe that was the plan, but I'm not sure if that was the plan. So, for example, we will take some validators from Gnosis team, from Gateway team, from Nethermind team, Erigon. I'm not sure if Erigon is running validators. And we run in this way, and we will observe those nodes without providing feature for, like maybe with experimental release.
Yeah, so from my perspective, this would be perfect. I think that's the way to go. I don't think it makes, like, we shouldn't restrict people from running the code if they want to, but it's unlikely that they would, I guess, run experimental version.
Yes. So if we release it publicly as an opt-in feature, we do not control it anymore. So it should, I doubt validators will switch to experimental release, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if we can restrict it in the contract. Like the registration process, the way it works is that you send a message to a special smart contract, and then that's a signed message that says I want to join. The contract is very stupid, so it doesn't check anything there. All the checks are done client side. So I'm not sure if we can restrict that there.
Yeah,
but of course the release would just be.
Yeah, I think that's fine if we like provide release internally, or maybe be very loud on social media that this is experimental release and we do not recommend switching for now. It should be enough. What other things about it?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me too. Anything else for Shutter?
Yeah, I have one quick question about testing. Do we have any like end-to-end testing that verifies everything that, you know, with the next release of Nethermind, we will not break anything? Or if we would like to bring other ELs with Shutter, then we will have some testing that Ref or Geth or Erigon can verify. If not, then probably we could consider building it together. But just question mark what we have in terms of testing about fuzzing and this kind of stuff.
So we don't have end-to-end tests at the moment, at least not automated ones. We basically do stress tests on the testnet. I'm not sure if Nethermind has like internally some testing suites that they run for the Nethermind code as a whole. I'm not aware of that.
For sure, we have you know, integration tests and unit tests in our code base for Shutter as well. But you know, I'm talking about something that testing end-to-end the functionality, the whole functionality, that everything works well. Not sure, just throwing the idea. I think it is valuable and we can think about it. I'm not saying that it should stop this launch on July, for sure not, but yeah, maybe we should consider it.
Yeah, so we didn't really have the resources yet to implement something like this because it is quite complicated. It's a complicated system. I think it would be great to have, to be honest. But yeah, we just didn't have enough time or manpower basically to add this.
Is this something that can be implemented in Hive?
That's the good question mark, but I don't know the answer. Maybe.
Igor, maybe you have an idea on this?
I'm not completely sure, to be honest. I need to like look more into how Shutter implemented in Nethermind client, or probably have a call with someone involved to answer that.
Yeah, so there's already like a full Go library as far as I can tell that can do encryption, decryption. That's all fine, but like, can you send transactions? I don't know, like run a client, make sure that it created a block in a specific order, all of that. I'm assuming you should be able to do that, right? All right.
So maybe question to you, Philippe or Lion, do you think long term there you see the future that other clients will implement Shutter on, or it won't be needed?
Yes. So I definitely think that it will have to happen, because if not, then I mean, we cannot do client diversity and Shutter at the same time. So I would say a good middle step would be to have builders that's maybe like a Nethermind builder that can do like Shutter blocks, but forward them to other clients. So this, I think, would be a good step at least, and then after that, ideally, clients implement it as well. Yeah, for sure.
So,
but that's not for this year by any means. Like end of next year, probably.
Yeah. So it means that if we manage to build, I don't know how hard it is, manage to build some kind of end-to-end testing, then in future and in next releases of Nethermind, it might be valuable. But yeah, so we will not have the situation like Lion has right now with Rep, that we don't have Ethereum tests or anything for our.
Yeah, I definitely think we should test this ideally in Hive or Ethereum tests, although I'm not sure which one would be more appropriate for this. Probably Ethereum tests isn't appropriate for that, right?
Yeah, Ethereum tests is just yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking, like, once Geth syncs, so syncs Shadow, I should be able to produce like field tests with Geth, because we have this this tool that is currently being used by the testing team to create tests. So once, I mean, I don't see any blockers for this to work out, and then when this happens, you can use the test framework for that they use on mainnet.
Yes, that's the goal generally, but this is a little bit different because right now Nethermind also implemented this test generation feature, so it's not a problem. But we are discussing the Shutter, and Shutter is a little bit different because we do not test state transition here, but Shutter provides like other way of building blocks, and so with state transition, you cannot really test it. You need some kind of end-to-end test that goes through some Shutter contracts, goes to Nethermind code, etc.
Right, but could you not just implement this into test framework directly so that you save a lot of issues?
What do you mean by implementing in test framework directly?
I mean, like, if your equivalent of the EVM T8N tool, produces blocks, you could just connect to that Shutter generation code you've got and produce block this way and check them this way.
I mean, for Shutter, the main risk is not the consensus issues or bugs in EVM per se, but rather some bugs in block production level. So for example, we noticed with Mark 1 issue that if you pass invalid transaction, it could be accepted. And not accepted, it will be rejected later, but your Nethermind won't be able to effectively produce valid blocks. So it means that if someone spam with invalid blocks, then we will have a problem if Shutter will have a good adoption. So it's a little bit different level of testing. That is what I want to say than EVM testing.
I mean, what I can say from the Shutter side, as well as like Yannick said already, we would actually love to see this, and also after the launch, we should be able, or to allocate some resources to that. So collaborative effort would be great.
All right, perfect. Anything else for Shutter? Take that as a no. All right, then we can head to the end of this, I guess, and start with client updates. So Geth is already done. Nethermind, is there anything in particular to address?
No, we are working on Pectra DevNet. Erigon was helping EM, and Rohit adjusted this Genesis tracing to Erigon, but we will not throw stack trace. Of course, we still do not trace Genesis block. Other than that, I don't have updates.
All right, thank you. Erigon?
Yeah, today we made a patch release to 60.2. There was a kind of a breaking change to ETH estimate guess in our previous patch release, and some people complained about that. So that was reverted because now we have a better fix for gas fee calculation in debug calls. So yeah, if some people have troubles with ETH estimate guess, that was fixed.
Awesome. And then Reth, if Lion wants to give some kind of updates.
Yeah, not much. Just looking into pre-merge Aura.
Yeah, so now the idea is hopefully, I mean, based on the last week, to implement Aura as well, but it depends on some consensus layer, like extensibility in Reth that is also not entirely implemented yet. So yeah, will be interesting to see. All right, I think that's about it. And maybe like for block validity verification or however that's called, like this thing, Erigon or Andrew or something, do you have any like opinions on this as well, or?
So is that the idea by Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of. I agree with who was that, Marek or Lucas, who said that it's kind of a lot of work, and some of it is we'll have to redo with Verco. I think in general it's a good idea, but the devil is in detail, and at the moment we probably don't have the capacity to work on it.
Yeah, so pretty much what the others said as well. All right, any other questions or comments? Well, then, thanks for joining and see you next week.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.